Before you dunk that biscuit in your tea, you need to hear this. 8 of the most popular biscuit brands in the UK are packed with ingredients that have no business being in your body. We're talking about palm oil linked to environmental destruction, artificial flavourings banned in other countries, and sugar levels so high that 2 biscuits contain more sugar than a can of Coke. In the next 20 minutes, I'm exposing all 8 biscuit brands you need to stop buying immediately, what's really inside them, and the 3 better alternatives that won't cost you a fortune. As a bonus for sticking to the end, I'll tell you how to spot dodgy biscuits yourself so you'll never get tricked again. Let's crack open the truth right now. Number 8. Lotus Biscoff. Let's start with one that might surprise you. Lotus Biscoff. Walk into any coffee shop in the UK and you'll find these thin, caramelized biscuits sitting next to your cappuccino. They've become synonymous with premium coffee culture, positioned as a sophisticated European trait that's a cut above your standard digestive. The packaging is sleek, the branding is elegant, and they cost significantly more than regular biscuits. And people buy them thinking they're getting something special. Something worth the premium price. The problem here is that Lotus Biscoff is absolutely loaded with palm oil and sugar. We're talking about biscuits that contain so much sugar, you're essentially eating caramelized sweetness held together with controversial vegetable oil. The palm oil they use is linked to rainforest destruction in Indonesia and Malaysia, where thousands of acres of virgin forest have been cleared to make way for palm plantations. The result is catastrophic for both your health and the planet. Each biscuit is a sugar bomb wrapped in environmentally destructive ingredients, marketed as a premium indulgence. You know that intense sugar rush you get after eating a few Biscoff biscuits, followed by that crash an hour later, where you're suddenly desperate for another hit of something sweet? Like your energy has completely tanked and you need more sugar just to feel normal again. That's what happens when you eat biscuits that are essentially just caramelized sugar. Your blood glucose spikes, then plummets, leaving you in a cycle of craving more. And here's the worst part, you're paying extra for this. Biscoff costs more than most standard biscuits, but you're not getting better ingredients or ethical sourcing. You're paying for marketing and branding that's convinced you this is somehow premium when it's really just expensive junk wrapped in clever packaging. Lotus Biscoff markets itself as sophisticated. What it actually is overpriced rubbish destroying rainforests. Number 7. Cadbury Chocolate Fingers. Cadbury Chocolate Fingers. The classic treat that's been in British lunchboxes and biscuit tins for decades. Slim, crunchy biscuit fingers coated in Cadbury's famous milk chocolate. They're marketed as a fun, shareable snack, perfect for kids and adults alike. And because it's Cadbury, a brand that's been synonymous with British chocolate since 1824, most people assume they're getting something of decent quality. The reality is far less appealing. Cadbury chocolate fingers are packed with palm oil, excessive sugar, and saturated fat. Each finger might be small, but the sugar content adds up frighteningly fast. Eat a handful while watching telly, which is exactly what these biscuits are designed to encourage, and you've just consumed a significant chunk of your daily sugar and fat limits without even realizing it. The result is simple. You're eating biscuits engineered to be addictive, not nutritious. The combination of sugar, fat, and chocolate triggers your brain's reward center, making you reach for another finger and another until half the packet's gone. You know that feeling when you open a box of chocolate fingers, telling yourself you'll just have 2 or 3, and then suddenly you've demolished half the box without even noticing? Like your hand just keeps reaching back in automatically, and before you know it, you're staring at an empty packet wondering what just happened? That's not a weakness. That's exactly what these biscuits are formulated to do. The sugar and fat combination is designed to override your natural satiety signals. And the palm oil, same story as always. Rainforest destruction, habitat loss for endangered species. Also, Cadbury can keep production costs low and profits high. The Cadbury name might suggest heritage and quality, but what you're actually getting is mass-produced junk designed to keep you coming back for more. Cadbury chocolate fingers might be a British classic, but that doesn't make them any less damaging. Number 6. McVitie's chocolate digestives. Here's one that's going to upset a lot of people. McVitie's chocolate digestives. They're an absolute British institution, the nation's favourite biscuit, the one that practically everyone has in their cupboard. In fact, over 8 million people in the UK consume them regularly. They're the biscuit you dunk in your tea without thinking twice, the one you offer guests, the one that feels like a safe, comforting choice. And because they're called digestives, there's this lingering sense that they're somehow wholesome, or even vaguely healthy. The truth is that McVitie's chocolate digestives are nutritional disasters, disguised as comfort food. Each biscuit contains 4.4 grams of fat and 6.1 grams of sugar. That's over a teaspoon of sugar per biscuit. They also contain palm oil, and despite McVitie's recent reformulation, where they claim to have reduced sugar by up to 10%, they're still loaded with the stuff. The result is predictable. Biscuits that taste good in the moment but leave you feeling sluggish and unsatisfied shortly after. The sugar gives you a quick energy spike that crashes hard, and the palm oil contributes to the environmental destruction we keep talking about. You know how you can easily eat 4 or 5 chocolate digestives in one sitting without feeling remotely full? Like they just disappear and you barely register that you've eaten anything substantial, even though you've just consumed over 400 calories and 20 grams of sugar? That's because they're engineered for maximum palatability and minimum satiety. They trick your brain into thinking you haven't eaten much, so you keep reaching for more. McVitie's has spent over a century building trust with British consumers, and they're using that trust to sell you biscuits that are terrible for your health and terrible for the planet, all while charging premium prices because of the brand name. Well, before we get into number 4, let me ask you something. How many packets of biscuits have you bought thinking they were just harmless treats, only to discover they're loaded with palm oil, destroying rainforests and hydrogenated oils linked to diabetes? That's exactly why I'm making this video. If you've been grabbing the same biscuits for years without checking what's actually in them, stick around. The top 3 are going to shock you more than the first 5 combined. And if you know someone still buying Fox's, Oreos or Maryland cookies without reading the labels, share this with them. Their health will thank you. Number 5. Wagon Wheels. If you grew up in the UK, Wagon Wheels probably bring back memories. Those massive round biscuits with marshmallow filling covered in chocolate, they were the ultimate lunchbox treat, the biscuit you begged your parents to buy, the one that made you feel like you'd won the snack lottery. And even now, as adults, plenty of people still buy them out of nostalgia, thinking they're treating themselves to a harmless bit of childhood comfort. The problem is that Wagon Wheels are owned by Ferrero, and they're absolutely stuffed with palm oil, sugar, and saturated fat. We're talking about biscuits where the marshmallow filling is basically just sugar and air held together with controversial vegetable oil, the chocolate coating, more palm oil, the biscuit itself. You guessed it, more sugar and palm oil. The result is a product that's essentially a sugar and palm oil sandwich wrapped in chocolate, marketed as a fun family treat. Each wagon wheel contains enough sugar to make your dentist weep and enough palm oil to contribute directly to rainforest destruction. You know that weird artificial aftertaste wagon wheels have? Like the marshmallow doesn't quite taste like real marshmallow and the chocolate doesn't quite taste like real chocolate. Almost like you're eating something that was designed in a lab to approximate the memory of what a treat should taste like. That's because you are. Real marshmallow is made from sugar, water, and gelatine. Real chocolate is made from cocoa butter, and sugar. Wagon wheels are made from the cheapest possible ingredients engineered to mimic those flavors while maximizing profit margins. And here's the thing that really stings. Wagon wheels have actually shrunk over the years. They're smaller than they used to be, but they still cost more than ever. So you're paying more money for less biscuit that's worse for you and worse for the environment. Nostalgia's a powerful thing, but it shouldn't blind you to what you're actually eating. Number 4, Jammie Dodgers. Jammie Dodgers. The iconic British biscuit with the heart-shaped window showing off that bright red jammy centre. They've been a staple in kids' lunchboxes since 1966. marketed as fun, playful, and quintessentially British. And most parents buy them without a second thought, assuming they're just harmless biscuits with a bit of jam in the middle. The reality is far less innocent. Jammie Dodgers are owned by Ferrero, the same massive conglomerate behind Wagon Wheels, and they're loaded with palm oil and sugar. That bright red jam in the middle? It's not real jam, it's a sugar-based filling with artificial flavouring and colouring designed to look and vaguely taste like raspberry jam, all held together with palm oil. The result is simple. You're feeding your kids biscuits that contain barely any real fruit, masses of sugar, and palm oil sourced from plantations that have decimated rainforests. And because they're small and light, kids and adults alike eat multiple Jammie Dodgers in one sitting, multiplying the sugar and palm oil intake without even realizing it. You know how kids can demolish an entire packet of Jammie Dodgers in one afternoon and still be hungry an hour later. Like the biscuits just vanished into thin air and provided absolutely no lasting energy or satisfaction. That's because they're essentially eating sugar held together with more sugar. There's no substance, no nutrition, nothing that actually fuels their bodies properly. Just empty calories that spike their blood sugar, make them hyper for 20 minutes, then crash hard. And the environmental cost? Ferrero sources palm oil for products like Jammie Dodgers from regions where indigenous communities have been forced off their land with violence, where orangutans and countless other species are losing their habitats, where entire ecosystems are being wiped out for profit. Jammie Dodgers might look fun and harmless, but there's nothing playful about what's actually in them. Number 3, Oreo, the world's best-selling biscuit, the one with the iconic twist, lick and dunk ritual that's been drilled into our heads through decades of marketing. They're everywhere, in every supermarket, marketed as fun, shareable, perfect for the whole family. And because they're so ubiquitous and popular, most people assume they must be fine. After all, billions of people eat them, so how bad could they really be? The problem is that Oreos are owned by Mondelez, and they're packed with palm oil sourced from regions actively experiencing environmental destruction. In March 2025, indigenous people in West Papua called for a boycott of Oreos specifically because Mondelez sources palm oil from their territory, where thousands of acres of rainforest have been cleared with violence forcing communities off their ancestral lands. The result is devastating. You're eating biscuits that directly fund ecocide and human rights abuses, all while Mondelez makes billions in profit. And nutritionally, they're terrible. High sugar, high fat, and that cream filling, it's essentially sweetened vegetable shortening. Not cream, not anything remotely natural, just engineered fat and sugar. You know how you can easily eat half a packet of Oreos without feeling remotely satisfied? Like each biscuit just makes you want another one, and before you know it, you've eaten 10 or 12, and you still don't feel like you've had a proper snack. That's deliberate. The combination of sugar, fat, and salt is specifically formulated to bypass your brain's satiety signals. Food scientists have engineered these biscuits to be as addictive as possible. And here's something most people don't realize. Oreo packaging lists sodium instead of salt on the nutritional information, making it deliberately confusing for consumers trying to understand what they're actually eating. It's a sneaky way to obscure how much salt is really in there. Oreo might be the world's favourite biscuit, but that just means billions of people are being conned. Number 2, Maryland cookies, the chunky chocolate chip cookies that have been marketed as the ultimate indulgent treat since the 1950s. They're positioned as proper American-style cookies, big and loaded with chocolate chips. The kind of biscuit you have when you want something more substantial than a digestive. And plenty of people buy them thinking they're getting a quality cookie worth the premium price. The truth is that Maryland cookies are one of the worst biscuits on this entire list. According to nutritionists, just 2 of these small cookies contain 11% of your daily saturated fat limit and 7% of your daily sugar limit. 2 cookies, not a whole packet, not a generous serving, just 2. The result is alarming. Biscuits so nutritionally terrible that eating a modest portion puts a serious dent in your daily limits for the exact nutrients you're supposed to be limiting. And because they're owned by Ferrero, the same company behind Jammie Dodgers and Wagon Wheels, they're also loaded with palm oil from deforested regions. You know how Maryland cookies are small but you never feel satisfied after eating just 2? Like your brain is telling you that something so tiny couldn't possibly count as a proper snack, so you end up eating 4, 6, maybe 8 cookies before you feel like you've actually had something? That's the problem. They're calorie dense and nutrient poor, which means they pack massive amounts of sugar and fat into a deceptively small package. Your stomach doesn't register them as substantial food, so you keep eating, racking up hundreds of calories and absurd amounts of sugar without feeling remotely full, especially when paired with milk or tea. And despite all of this, they cost significantly more than standard biscuits because of the Maryland brand name and the premium positioning. You're paying extra to destroy your health faster. Maryland cookies aren't an indulgent treat. They're an expensive nutritional disaster marketed as something special, and most people underestimate just how quickly the damage adds up. Number 1. Fox's Viennese. And here we are, number 1. The absolute worst biscuit brand on this list. Fox's Viennese. These delicate swirled biscuits covered in milk chocolate have been marketed as a sophisticated premium treat for decades. They look elegant, they're more expensive than your standard biscuits, and Fox's has positioned them as something special, the kind of biscuit you'd serve to guests with proper tea in proper cups. And people buy them thinking they're getting quality, something worth the extra money. The reality is horrifying. Fox's Viennese biscuits contain hydrogenated vegetable oil, an ingredient that has been directly linked to type 2 diabetes in studies published in the New England Journal of Medicine, not just associated with, linked to. This is the stuff that's so bad for you. Many food manufacturers have already removed it from their products entirely, but Fox's still using it. The result is catastrophic. You're eating biscuits that contain an ingredient scientifically proven to increase your risk of a serious chronic disease, and on top of that, they're extremely high in saturated fat. The combination of hydrogenated oils and excessive saturated fat makes these biscuits a genuine health hazard. You know that rich, almost greasy mouthfeel Fox's Viennese have? Like the chocolate and biscuit leave this coating on your tongue that lingers long after you've finished eating, that's the hydrogenated vegetable oil. Real butter creates a clean taste that disappears quickly. Hydrogenated oils leave that slick, unpleasant residue because your body doesn't know how to process them efficiently. They're synthetic fats that your digestive system struggles with, and you're paying premium prices for this. Fox's Viennese costs more than most biscuits in the supermarket, and what you're getting for that extra money is scientifically proven health risks wrapped in elegant packaging. Fox's Viennese aren't sophisticated. They're dangerous, and they've earned the #1 spot on this list for exactly that reason. Now, I'm going to give you as a tip 3 better biscuit brands you should buy instead. Number 1, Nairn's Oat Biscuits. If you want proper biscuits made with real ingredients, Nairn's is where you should be looking. This Scottish brand has been making oat-based biscuits since 1896, and they've stuck to traditional methods and clean ingredients. Their biscuits contain no palm oil, no hydrogenated oils, and significantly less sugar than mainstream brands. The ingredient list is refreshingly short. Their original oat biscuits contain just 7 ingredients: whole grain oats, sustainable palm fruit oil, oat flour, sugar, raising agents, sea salt, and natural flavouring. Compare that to a Fox's Crunch Cream with its 20+ ingredient chemical lineup. Nairn's dark chocolate chip variety lists oats, sustainable palm fruit oil, dark chocolate chips, sugar, oat flour, raising agents, cocoa powder, and sea salt. That's it. 8 ingredients, all recognizable food. You can find them in most major supermarkets, including Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, and even Asda. They cost about £2.50 to £3 for 200 grams, roughly the same price as premium brands like Fox's, but you're getting biscuits made with whole grain oats, real ingredients, and natural flavourings. The texture is satisfying and genuinely crumbly, not that synthetic crunch you get from hydrogenated fats. They actually fill you up, and they don't leave you craving more 30 minutes later because your blood sugar hasn't spiked and crashed. Their range includes rough oat cakes, cheese oat cakes, stem ginger oat biscuits, mixed berries, and dark chocolate chip. All made with the same clean ingredient philosophy. No artificial colours, no artificial flavours, no hydrogenated vegetable oil, just proper Scottish oat biscuits made the way they've been making them for over a century. Number 2. Rhythm 108. For those of you who want something genuinely premium, Rhythm 108 delivers. These Swiss-made biscuits are completely organic, vegan, gluten-free, and contain absolutely no palm oil or refined sugar. They use coconut blossom sugar instead, which has a lower glycemic index and doesn't cause the same blood sugar chaos as regular sugar. The texture is remarkably indulgent for something that's technically a health biscuit. They're crisp without being hard, rich without being heavy, and satisfying without that weird artificial sweetness you get from sugar alcohols or artificial sweeteners. At around 40 calories per biscuit, they're significantly lower in calories than most mainstream brands. A Maryland cookie sits at around 110 calories. A bourbon hits 90. Rhythm's biscuits give you that treat moment without the calorie bomb. The ingredient lists are genuinely clean. Their cacao and orange variety contains gluten-free oat flour, coconut blossom sugar, coconut oil, cacao, orange oil, raising agent, and sea salt. 7 ingredients. You'll find them in Holland and Barrett, Waitrose, Planet Organic, and independent health food shops. They cost more than standard biscuits, around £3.50 to £4 for 135 grams, but you're paying for genuinely ethical sourcing and quality ingredients, not just marketing buzzwords. They're ideal for mindful snacking, satisfying cravings without guilt, crashes, or additives, and they actually taste indulgent, not like worthy compromises that make you feel virtuous but unsatisfied. Number 3. Dove's Farm Organic Digestive Biscuits. If you specifically want digestives but without all the rubbish, Dove's Farm makes organic versions using sustainable palm oil and significantly less sugar than McVitie's. They're made with organic wholemeal flour, and while they're not perfect, they're miles better than the mainstream alternatives. The ingredient list reads: organic wholemeal wheat flour, organic sugar, organic sustainable palm oil, organic wheat flour, organic skimmed milk powder, raising agents, and sea salt. 8 ingredients total, all organic. Compare that to McVitie's Digestives with their 12 ingredients, including regular palm oil, glucose fructose syrup, and various additives. Dove's Farm keeps it simple and clean. The flavour is properly wheaty, not sickly sweet like McVitie's. There's an actual grain taste, that satisfying nuttiness you get from proper wholemeal flour, not refined white flour pretending to be healthy. The texture has a satisfying snap and a gentle oaty crumble. They dunk well too, holding their shape long enough for a proper brew without disintegrating into mush after 2 seconds like cheaper brands. Available in Tesco, Sainsbury's, Waitrose, and most health food shops. They cost around £2.20 for 200 grams, comparable to branded digestives but significantly better quality. Perfect for cheesecake bases, crumbling over yogurt, or just eating with a bit of butter and jam the old-fashioned way. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You're not powerless here. The biscuit aisle can feel overwhelming when you're trying to make better choices, but it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a nutrition degree or a list of banned ingredients memorized. You just need to develop a quick scanning habit that takes 10 seconds per packet. Pick up the packet, turn it over. Look at the ingredients list. If the list reads like a chemistry experiment with more E numbers than actual food, that's your first clue. Count the ingredients. If there are 20 plus items listed, you're looking at an ultra-processed product. Real biscuits need flour, fat, sugar, maybe eggs, raising agents, and flavouring. That's about 8 to 10 ingredients maximum. Anything beyond that, and they're adding things to extend shelf life, improve texture artificially, or cut costs. Now look at the order. Ingredients are listed by weight, so whatever's first is what the biscuit is mostly made of. If sugar or palm oil is the first ingredient, you're eating sugar or fat held together with flour, not a biscuit with some sugar in it. Flour or oats should be first. That's your baseline for a decent biscuit. Check for hydrogenated oils or partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. If you see those words anywhere, put the packet back immediately. Those are trans fats. They raise bad cholesterol, lower good cholesterol, and increase your risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. No biscuit is worth that. Hydrogenated oils are banned in many countries for a reason. Look at the sugar content per biscuit. Anything over 5 grams of sugar per biscuit is high. 10 grams and you're basically eating candy shaped like a biscuit. For context, a custard cream has around 4 grams. A bourbon has nearly 6. Those numbers add up fast when you're eating 4 or 5 in one sitting. Check the fiber content too. If a biscuit has less than 1 gram of fiber per serving, it's made from refined white flour, with nothing nutritious left in it. Proper biscuits made with wholemeal flour or oats will have 2 to 3 grams of fiber per serving. That fiber slows down sugar absorption, keeps you fuller longer, and stops the blood sugar spike and crash cycle. But here's what really matters. Think about how these biscuits make you feel after eating them. Not in the moment when the sugar hits and everything tastes amazing, but 30 minutes later. Are you satisfied? Or are you back in the cupboard looking for more? Are you energized? Or are you suddenly exhausted and irritable? So what do you think? Have you been buying these rubbish biscuit brands for years without realizing what you were actually eating? Are you shocked by how much palm oil and sugar you've been consuming? Drop a comment below because I want to know which brand you're never buying again.